Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here on our 49th annual St. Andrew Lutheran Church Congregational meeting. I now call it to order. Pastor Kristen, would you please come and open us with prayer?
Well, good morning. It is good to be together today. We can be church together, which is really important. And this work right now is important because God is in these details and it allows us to live out our mission and vision. So let us pray. Creator God, we thank you for the gift of church and a church community. We thank you for everyone that walks through these doors. We thank you for our congregational leaders. And Lord, we ask that you continue to send us your wisdom and guidance so that we can be love and light in the world. Now we ask during this time that you open our hearts and minds to where it is that you're leading us today, so that together we can be stronger, together we can care for people, so that we can be truly a place where everybody matters and everyone belongs. Now we give this up to you and do all of this that we're doing today in your name and in your service. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Kristen. We appreciate that. So a few housekeeping rules here today. As communicated over the last couple of weeks, this year's annual meeting will be streamed live so that all interested members who cannot be here in person have the chance to follow it. For considerations of equity, however, there will not be an online voting option this year. For those of you here in the sanctuary, things would be very similar to years past. We ask that if you make or second a motion, you state your first and last name clearly so that I can repeat and Brian Hireman, our secretary, can accurately record that information. If you have a question, please raise your hand and someone will come and listen to your question and then repeat it so all can hear. You will receive a paper ballot for the council vote. Also, if you have not yet signed in, please make your way to the back of the sanctuary to sign in so that you can participate in the vote. Are there any questions? Our first order of business is to establish a quorum of 50 members as required by the St. Andrew Constitution. I ask Patrick Aberg, our president-elect, to let us know if there is a quorum.
Yes, a 50-member quorum has been established.
Thank you. A 50-member quorum has been established. Thank you very much. Appointment of our parliamentarian for the proceedings. If there is no objection, the chair appoints Bob Webster as parliamentarian of this meeting. Bob?
It's great to see everybody here. It's a nice turnout for the meeting. Thank you. As an initial matter and pursuant to the St. Andrew Constitution, Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised 11th edition, shall govern the parliamentary procedure of the Congregational meeting of St. Andrew Lutheran Church on this day, January 25th, 2026. The congregation will consider a number of proposed resolutions today. The procedure for adopting the resolution is as follows. A request will be made for a motion by a member for approval of the resolution, and a second to that motion will be made by another member. There will then be an opportunity for open discussion on the floor if any member would like to speak to the motion. Each speaker during the floor discussion shall be limited to 2 minutes, with no more than 3 persons speaking for and 3 persons speaking against the motion alternately, and no more than 2 consecutive speakers without opposition. Amendments to a main motion will be treated in the same manner. Debates may be extended by a majority vote. The motion must receive a majority vote of those present in order to pass. If less than a majority vote to approve, the motion will fail. Thank you.
Was that clear? Thank you very much, Bob. If there is no objection, the chair appoints Brian Hireman secretary of the meeting. Hearing no objection, Brian Hireman will serve as today's secretary. Thank you very much, Brian. The proposed meeting agenda can be found on page 2 of the annual report. If you have not yet picked up a copy, there are additional copies of the annual report at the sanctuary entrance. If there is no objection to the agenda as presented, we will proceed with this order of business. Hearing no objection, the agenda is adopted. 4 members have been selected to serve as election tellers for the meeting. If there is no objection, the chair appoints John Kirk as head teller, Brian Abramson, Karen Hoffman, and Van Grotenhuis. I love that name, by the way. These will be tellers with John as head teller. Are there any objections to these 3 tellers? There being no objection, these individuals will serve as tellers. Meeting minutes from the 48th Annual Congregational Meeting are on pages 22 through 26 of the annual report. Adoption of these minutes is now in order. Are there any corrections to the minutes from the sanctuary? Since there is no objection, the minutes are approved. And now it's time for the president's report. Do we need a vote to accept? Thank you. Apparently, I do need a first and second to adopt the minutes. Thank you, Laura Hoffer. Is there someone for a first to adopt? Lindsay Bickler? I need a second. Paul Skoog seconds the motion. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Now we get to the speech. My wonderful husband told me 3 things this morning. He had 3 points for me. Be good, be brief, be seated. I had 3 points in reply. You matter. You belong. We care. This is part of our new vision statement for the last year as crafted by our wonderful staff here at St. Andrew Lutheran, including the following statement: we nurture the future of faith by cultivating beloved community, encouraging faithful curiosity, and equipping all as servant leaders. With this statement, we express our love and faith to ourselves and the community at large. We try to live out these statements in our daily lives and with our acts of service. I would like to add 4 more words that have been part of my family's motto for over 40 years. We live to serve. Let me explain that. If you spend any time here during the week, you will see that our children's ministry has exploded in a good way. Participation by our youth in choirs, pray and play, confirmation, high school ministry, camp, and even Wednesday night dinners is amazing. This place is growing and expanding, and we have all of you to thank for that. We have served an amazing number of affordable meals at our Wednesday night dinners, and with your acts of service, you have shown up to serve, eat, clean up. Wednesday night dinners is great for grandparents, parents, and children to dine together as family. That's what we do here at St. Andrew. We create family. You have responded to requests to serve as confirmation leaders with our unexpected surge of 8th grade confirmands this year. You have contributed money to our camp fundraisers and have answered our call many times for volunteers, ushers, greeters, money, and prayers. Many of you serve by sharing your gifts of music through our 4 handbell groups, Canticle Choir, Chamber Choir, our beautiful soloists, Josh and Ileana, children of this church, and our 2 children's choirs, one of which we heard at our 9 a.m. service this morning. You serve and participate in National Alliance on Mental Illness Support, Alcoholics Anonymous support, Suicide Bereavement support, Queer Faith Alliance, A More Just World, many different Bible study groups, Women of the Word, Loom Knitters, Patio Crawl, Wine and Fellowship, Funeral Committee, decorating the church for Christmas, serving donuts on Sunday mornings, Band of Brothers, WNYG, if you don't know what that is, ask a high schooler, 20 to 30-something ministry, Parents' Night Out, Serve and Play, Camp Ministry. I think you're getting the idea. We do a lot here at this church. Not everyone has time to spare in service to others, yet you have continued to show up time and again with your monetary gifts, allowing us to expand our services in ministry in this church and to others outside our church community. St. Andrew is preparing to launch a 3-year anniversary appeal rooted in gratitude and hope. This appeal is an invitation to invest in the future of our church, supporting ministries, spaces, and partnerships that will serve for generations to come. I invite you to prayerfully discern how you might participate in this shared commitment. We have a tremendous opportunity to look forward and to continue to expand our reach and service to this church and our community. I hope that you will serve alongside me to reach our goal. I don't know if I've been good or brief. I'll let you decide that. But I will be seated after telling you what an honor it's been to serve this congregation as president of the Church Council this past year. We truly have an amazing staff that is dedicated to service to this church and our wonderful congregation. Thank you especially to Pastor Peter and Maggie for all their patience and assistance with me through the coming year and the last year. I appreciate your assistance as we rowed the church boat together. Thank you very much for the opportunity to serve. And lastly, I will ask you to applaud for yourself for everything that you do for this church. I now invite John Kirk to the podium to report for the nominating. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped the senior pastor's report. I don't nominate John Kirk to come to the podium. The next order of business is our senior pastor's report. Pastor Peter.
Thank you, Lori.
You're welcome.
All right, you're welcome. Good afternoon. And how good it is to be together again here this afternoon as we do, as Pastor Kristen says, the work of the church here together in these really important ways. How much I appreciate now, as I mentioned this morning, the 13 years of accumulation of life, of service, of faithfulness alongside so many of you that have been here longer than me, and also as we've welcomed new people into the life and ministry of St. Andrew. It is really, St. Andrew for me is a tremendous reason to get out of bed in the morning because of the work that we do here together, striving to do what we strive to do. I'm going to highlight just a couple of things from my written report here, and maybe not 3 things or 4 or 5 things, but just to highlight a few things. First, think about the looking back about the impact of St. Andrew Lutheran Church as you have participated in it over the years. This is our 50th anniversary at St. Andrew here in 2026. So you rewind the clock to 1976 and the incorporation of St. Andrew, and at some point in time or another, you inserted your name and became part of this congregation's living and dynamic ministry here in Eden Prairie and beyond. I have heard, with the help of the anniversary committee, stories of how the church was literally in a box worshiping at Forest Hills Elementary School way back in the beginning for 4 years. Unpacked and repacked then every Sunday for 4 years within that elementary school. And what I love about the organic nature of St. Andrew is that our partnership with Forest Hills continues as we come alongside the students, teachers, and administrators at Forest Hills, and the social worker, Juan, who's a good partner of ours in being the eyes and ears of ministry in the community through that elementary school. A reminder of the many ways that St. Andrew is interconnected in so many ways, past and future. As we go through our anniversary year, we're going to be doing looking back and looking forward, combining both the ways in which we have engaged, like at Forest Hills those years when they gave hospitality. And literally our Sunday school program was busting out of the building of an entire elementary school back in those years. But how, as we move forward, we're in the process of engaging that school still, but anew in vital and different ways. So in each of our months that we will be celebrating different highlights of the anniversary, we'll be looking back, but then also looking forward. Finding ways to illustrate what we have done and what we are still doing as a congregation in ministry. So we'll be doing Spirit in the Pines as a focal point coming up here next month. We'll be celebrating Church Anew as well as part of our programs as well. Pastor Matthew will have some words to share about the dynamic growth of Church Anew. We'll even be celebrating food as part of our anniversary celebration, because how much does St. Andrew gather around Carmel rolls or funeral committee meals at the end of a memorial service where we gather together and show support for one another? We'll be celebrating just the idea of how food brings people together. And so 50 years of ministry. As we turn the page too, we look ahead to 50 years as well. And so I draw out the words that are part of our values about how we at St. Andrew practice bold imagination. We want to practice bold imagination. We want to embrace life together as a community, and we want to share contagious joy. Those values are recent additions as well to our mission, vision, and values as we live into those statements here. And I hope that we're able to see and to get a sense of what that looks like, to practice bold imagination, embrace life together, and share contagious joy. One of the things that many of you probably did in October and November was participate in the feasibility study that was put together and welcomed participants to express their reflections about St. Andrew Lutheran Church and where we are going in the future. It is a rare opportunity for a congregation. It's like going for an annual physical at the doctor's office in a way. How are we doing? How do you feel about things? And we have a long 70-page document and a 7-page overview document that was extremely helpful, but also very permission-giving to the congregation to feel and to know that based on the nearly 60 participants in the one-on-ones and the nearly 190 participants in the online surveys, that people feel good about this place. They feel good about our work. They feel good about our leadership. They feel good about things. Yes, there are lots of suggestions within it as well, which are also we take seriously too. But overall, our consultants, GSB consultants who have done this in many congregations, when they see it from their perspective on the outside, looking into St. Andrew Lutheran Church, the comments that they shared with us too are equally or even more valuable when it's not always true that congregations show the kind of vitality and dynamic interest of members as St. Andrew does. So GSB it has become and will be, as we enter into the anniversary appeal, cheerleaders for St. Andrew Lutheran Church as a congregation that is raising the bar. And so I'm just grateful to God grateful for the spirit of this place, and that is recognizable within a really comprehensive snapshot of St. Andrew Lutheran Church that was taken just a few months ago. The annual report is full of some statistics, so you'll see those on your own. The main thing, though, that I feel at St. Andrew is that people are belonging here. They're participating in growing numbers, and there is a good, holy, and sacred spirit in this place that people feel comfortable and are welcomed here, and that I'm constantly meeting new people along the line as well on Sundays and on Wednesdays, and so it's very meaningful to be a part of that less statistical analysis, but more of just a feel of how things are. I give thanks to my colleagues on staff as well, as we've been working hard on cohesiveness and collaboration. They mean a lot to me. So rarely is there a decision that gets made without a few or many sharing in what it is that we want to be about and where we are going. I hope that you can see that in the way in which we worship, in the way in which we try each week to have 52 great weeks, and we try to evolve and shift as we need to make your worship experience faithful and new and vital. And I value the colleagues up and down the hallways here and there in more ways than I can express here. Adding new colleagues as well, like those up front, like Pastor Kristen and Pastor Jean, as well, are a little bit more up front. There are several in the offices that you can meet and be a part of that also provide really valuable leadership as we've bolstered this year a lot of our administrative leadership here at St. Andrew, and that's been a terrific addition. And I won't name all names because I'll miss some here as well. But I will call out Scott Searle, who's been working in the area of stewardship and development. A really important and growth edge for St. Andrew Lutheran Church. And in gratitude for his coming in a year ago and will be here through the end of the program year, the way he coaches, the way he mentors, and the way he's helping all of us develop what stewardship and development ought to mean for a congregation like ours. That is complicated and sophisticated, but has a myriad of opportunities to develop its ministry short-term and long-term. And so that is an important dedication for St. Andrew Lutheran Church to continue to have our foot on the gas for faithful support and stewardship of this congregation as our mission continues to grow here in the next years and 50 years and beyond. So that's an important key. I also wanted to say thank you as well to the nominating committee too. I know John Kirk will be part of a report momentarily. One of the things that I value greatly is governance and structure. And so this effort over the 2025 to have a dynamic nominating committee that's cultivating names that can help lead our sophisticated congregation has been really fruitful. And I look forward to being involved in that moving forward so that we can have all the people serving in our congregation, and especially our new members as well, with Lindsay Bickler and John Stutzman is somewhere here in the building as well. You'll meet them in a moment. Come out of this process of recruiting, equipping, and empowering skilled leaders among us. And so really important for me moving forward. And finally, a word of gratitude to Lorianne as well for your leadership as well. But thank you for being part of St. Andrew Lutheran Church, all of you, as we continue to do the work here at St. Andrew together. So blessings. Okay.
Thank you very much, Pastor Peter. Under your leadership, we're doing really great things, and we appreciate you very much. I now invite John Kirk to the podium to report for the nominating committee. John?
Thanks, Lorianne. Welcome, everyone. I'm John Kirk, and in 2025, we formally created a nominating committee in accordance with our Constitution. The charter of the nominating committee states that the committee's purpose is to nurture, identify, recruit qualified candidates for leadership positions within the congregation, including the Congregational Council, various committees, and other appropriate roles consistent with the bylaws and Constitution. The committee collaborates closely with existing leaders and members of committees, as well as staff, to fulfill this important task. What I mean by that is we're not here to dictate things. We're here to help facilitate getting good leadership where it's needed in the congregation. Any St. Andrew member who's interested in a leadership position, please feel free to raise your hand, not right now, but in the future, and talk to us, because this will be an ongoing effort. Therefore, for our council vote today, the nominating committee, consisting of John Kirk, Patrick Aberg, Julie Hermanson, Vicki Anderson, and Pastor Peter, has suggested 2 candidates from the congregation who have been approved by the council and who have agreed to their nomination. We also have 2 council members who've agreed to and have been approved by the council for second terms, Dave King and Lorianne Gillick. We will not be inviting nominations from the floor. The process we have, we believe, provides a fair and balanced process for all candidates as the nominating committee evaluates a variety of factors needed for the council. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Each candidate for council will now briefly introduce themselves. Our first candidate for council is Lindsay Bickler. Lindsay.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Lindsay Bickler. For those of you I haven't met, I'm looking forward to getting to meet you and just to get more involved at St. Andrew. My husband Jared and I moved to Eden Prairie in 2013, shortly before we got married, and we attended a funeral here for a coworker I didn't really know that well, but it just felt like the right thing to do. And it was an incredibly meaningful and inspirational funeral. And before you knew it, we were done church shopping. St. Andrew was really, really convenient. We felt welcome here immediately and joined new member classes with Pastor Peter, and the rest is history. We then started to have children, so I have Nellie in 2nd grade, Noah, who is in kindergarten, and my son Scotty is in pre-2 in the early learning program. Melanie from the early learning program, I mean, I can't imagine a time when I'm not here every day, 5 days a week. And when we're done, she's gonna just have to become one of my friends that I hang out with, because it has been such a meaningful part of my family and of our lives. I feel like my children have gone to the best private school education they could ever go to, from 6 months until pre-3. And so we really just feel so at home here, and I feel so blessed to have found this. I grew up in an ELCA Lutheran church in Brookfield, Wisconsin, and a really good barometer for me was that when we got engaged, I told my husband there was no chance we were getting married anywhere other than my home church. And he was fine with that because he had absolutely no connection to his home church, and I couldn't believe that. And so my goal for my kids is that this is a place that they want to come back to, and I hope they move far away and do really, really great things, but that they always feel the gel of the community and the warmth of this church, and that they want to come back. And I know that's already started. The baseline has already started. Pat told me I have 30 minutes, so I'll just keep going. So professionally, I'm a partner at Deloitte & Touche, and so I work a lot in finance. That's my background. I have experience on another not-for-profit board called Women Venture. I was on that board for 6 years and really enjoyed helping that organization. It's an organization that helps put funding into women entrepreneurs to help them start businesses. And it's incredibly impactful, and I loved my experience there, but I took a break from that because I told my husband I really do want to help and make a difference, but I want to do that closer to home in a way that directly impacts my family. And so I'm so excited. I've been on the call committee and I've helped with other small things around St. Andrew, but I'm really excited now to join the council and to be able to give back in that way. My family is in that crazy time where we're always running from one place to another, and there's so many amazing small groups here that I really hope someday I can join. But this feels like the way that I can really contribute and give back right now. And I think with that, I think that's all I've got. I look forward to meeting you.
Thank you, Lindsay, and we look forward to working with you as well. Our next council candidate is John Stutzman. And here he comes.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am John Stutzman. Ironically, like Lindsay, I first found St. Andrew attending a funeral here in 2015 and felt very similar to what you said. And over the next year, I kind of started thinking about it of, is this a fit? And ultimately I went, yep, I keep driving by this church to go to my home church occasionally, which was Westwood Lutheran in St. Louis Park, and started attending here in 2016. 2020, I felt the need to become a member, and during COVID, I did go through the membership classes, and as I kind of grew in my time here, I kept finding strange connections all over the place that people I knew, people who'd worked here, people who knew people I knew, and just kind of that community feel really kept growing. And so with that, after becoming a member, I started looking for more ways to get involved, started becoming an usher, serving communion where I can, and then one day in church I heard them talking about needs for members for the benevolence committee, and went, well, that seems like a logical fit, kind of combining my professional experience. I've got almost 20 years working in Parks and Recreation, have dealt with budgets and giving and sponsorships and all of those things, and so this felt like a logical opportunity for me to give back to the church. In addition to my work, I also have been involved in a nonprofit board, the Minnesota Recreation and Park Foundation, where I served almost 10 years on that board, including president. And so when that benevolence committee call came out, I felt very compelled to join, and Pastor Peter invited me to join that, and so I've spent the last 3 years on that committee, including the last year as the chair. And as John mentioned, they did reach out, the nominating committee did reach out to the chairs and talk to people and asking people what they were doing. And as part of that meeting with John and Julie, they said, well, are you interested in continuing on somewhere or maybe even council? And I said, well, I'm interested in continuing somewhere. I'm not sure if I'm ready for council yet, but I'd consider it. And sure enough, a few months later, the call came and I couldn't say no. So I'm certainly excited to be here. As I mentioned, I work in Parks and Recreation. I've had the opportunity to work for 4 cities over the last 20 years. Been very blessed. Currently, I'm the Recreation and Leisure Services Director for the city of St. Peter. Again, another tie here with Pastor Peter's ties to Gustavus, and so it continues to amaze me. But I've been very blessed in my professional life to work for great communities, work with great colleagues, truly enjoy what I do, and truly blessed to grow not only in the communities I serve, but at state and national levels. I've been very active member of the statewide agencies, the national agencies, and so it just feels like an opportunity to come home in this role to serve at the council and kind of combine everything I have. I currently live in Chanhassen. I definitely am an avid sportsman and an avid outdoorsman, and so I'm looking forward to getting to know more of you in this community, to serve this community, and to be a part of this council. So thank you very much.
I think the nominating committee has done a really good job so far, don't you? Our next returning candidate is asking for your vote today, and that is our current council member, Dave King. Buddy, yes, you're supposed to come up. Yeah, no.
Thanks. Good afternoon. had the opportunity 3 years ago to be in this position, and I thought, what in the world am I doing? Coming from a church of 2,000, I thought I have no business being part of the council of a church this size, but I'm very blessed to have had this opportunity for the last 3 years. I've learned a lot. Got a lot more to learn, and really look forward to continuing the work, the things that I have learned about how much this place does and serves not only here but our community and beyond. I'm very excited about what the next 3 years are going to look like. We have a lot going on, a lot to do, and I'm ready to get to work. Thanks.
Thanks, Dave. I know I surprised you a little bit there, but I appreciate it. Last returning candidate is myself. I'm Lori Ann Gillick. I'm currently president of the Congregation, and I hope that you will allow me the opportunity to have another 3 years on council. I love this place. I feel like sometimes I live here, and I sort of tease Pastor Peter sometimes, is there a cot you can just put me in a room somewhere because I have a meeting again tomorrow? But I love this place. My family and I came here, and just out of coincidence, Dave and I used to go to the same congregation, our former church. I'd been there for 32 years, and after coming here for one service, it was amazing. It's like, why didn't I leave sooner? This place is so amazing with so many wonderful people. The congregation is just awesome. The preaching is wonderful. The ability to join all these small groups and do all these things is just crazy good. And this church is doing really, really good things, and we hope to continue to do that in the future. Again, if you haven't listened to the speech earlier, there's so many things for you to do, and I encourage you to get involved with the church community, because together we can really change the world. So thank you. We will now provide you with voting instructions. Eligible voting members will be handed one ballot with council names. Please vote yes and no or no for the entire slate of candidates. The appointed tellers will hand out ballots with pencils and will collect the ballots when voting is complete. Are there any questions from the sanctuary? If not, we will commence with the distribution of ballots. And while the ballots are being given out and tallied, we will proceed with a report by Pastor Matthew from about Church Anew, the crazy, wonderful, inventive mission that St. Andrew has for the world. So, Pastor Matthew. People are getting their votes. So he's going to take his little time coming to the podium. I won't sing for you. I'll do that and wait till choir.
Let's hear it, Lori.
Oh, yeah.
So, let's go.
I know.
Thank you, Lori Ann. Thank you, everyone. As we hand out the rest of the ballots, I'll just go ahead and get started. Crazy and wonderful. That seems like as good of a place to start as any. Grateful for the opportunity to continue to educate the congregation about the growth of Church Anew. You read you can read in the annual report about the significant work that Church Anew is doing. But I thought that I would actually start with a mentor of mine who's actually helped shape the imagination of Church Anew since its inception. And that's Dr. Raleigh Martinson, who is a professor at Luther Seminary and has managed dozens of grants for the seminary and other organizations with Lilly Endowment, Inc., which is the largest funder of Christian causes on planet Earth. So I'm going to give you a little bit of information about Raleigh, and then I'll tell you a little bit of information about Lilly Endowment, and then we'll end with a little bit of where Church Anew is going. So Raleigh Martinson, like I said, served in a variety of capacities at Luther Seminary, which is the seminary that all four of your pastors attended here. Is that right, Gene? Is that right? Were you a Luther grad? I couldn't remember that to confirm. All right. And Raleigh served as dean and professor of youth ministry, has seen the church forward, backward, upside down, all different sides of it, and always has a heart for helping the church to grow. He served congregations in Fargo and California and here in the Twin Cities and elsewhere. And Raleigh sat down with me twice, once for lunch in 2018, right when Church Anew was starting to get off the ground. And he sat down for lunch again with me in November of this last year as Church Anew has rounded the corner and is looking at what's ahead. And Raleigh had this message to share with me, but it's also a message for our congregation. As I shared with him about our growth, about our learnings, about the amazing capacity that Lilly Endowment is allowing Church Anew to grow into, Raleigh said, "We need you. We need you." And he wasn't talking about me. He was talking about you. Raleigh Martinson said, "We need St. Andrew Lutheran Church to show a way that a congregation can make an impact on the world of faith all around the country. Because denominations and publishing houses and synods and other organizations are struggling to find resources and create resources to help support the growth of churches. And Raleigh believes, and I believe with him, that places like St. Andrew need to be sparks of imagination for that, or all across North America. And I am incredibly honored that Church Anew has become just a spark of innovation and imagination for the broader faith ecosystem. You can read all about the analytics and the growth of Church Anew in my report, but Lilly Endowment is a key component in allowing us to grow that work. The other thing that Raleigh said to me is that there is no way that Lilly Endowment would give St. Andrew Lutheran Church and Church Anew the 3 grants that we are owning here at St. Andrew and participating in if they didn't believe in what you were doing. So this is a partnership, it's a relationship. And I wanted to give you a little bit of metrics about this Lilly Endowment. It was founded by the founder and his 2 sons of the pharmaceutical company in Indianapolis, Eli Lilly and Company. And their hope was to continue the vitality of local communities, and their belief was that local congregations were essential to the fabric of our communities here in the United States, and actually the fabric of our democracy. And that belief has long lasted, of course, their deaths, and lasts well into the future. Lilly Endowment, Inc. Actually became one of the first $100 billion endowments just a few months ago. And these are pretty good friends to have in days like today. So like I said, we have 3 different grants, and you can read about those specific grants. But what I want to share with you is that it's vitally important that we as a congregation continue that relationship with the endowment and continue to grow and deepen that relationship so that Church Anew can grow. But it's also good for St. Andrew, for our local community to be exposed to that vast growth that's happening all over the country, sparks of imagination that we bring back here. Pastor Peter had the opportunity to attend a Lilly Endowment convening just a little while ago in October and brought back fresh insights. So we continue to, again, see the ways that this relationship is really mutual. So Church Anew now finally is headed in the next several years. We took this last year to really develop a strategic plan, to look at these goals that we've pitched to Lilly Endowment and that they've said go for it, and to really align those so that over the next 5 to even 10 years, we'll be seeing exactly where we're going to go. So I'd be happy to share more about that. It's a lengthy document that I don't have time to share about here today. But if you're ever curious, I'm always open for a conversation. But to just whet the appetite of your imagination, the vision that is emerging for Church Anew is that we will really be a vibrant cathedral for faith in North America, and to convene some of the greatest thinkers and preachers preachers and theologians to help make sure that that there is a future of faith for people here in the United States and well beyond. So I'm eager and excited to lean into that, and really grateful for the role of this congregation to spark this and to fuel it, and to see where it goes. So thank you for your support. And again, if you ever have any questions, if you want a cup of coffee, I'm one of those people that you could just put a quarter in me. Who knows how long we'll go. So I'm always happy to talk about Church Anew. Reach out if you want to talk about more. Thanks.
The work that Church Anew is doing is truly amazing. If you spend just even a little bit of that quarter time he's talking about. I knew nothing about Church Anew when we became members here, and I am amazed at what this congregation has helped to build under Pastor Matthew's leadership. So thank you very much, Pastor Matthew. We will now proceed with the next order of business. The chair recognizes Maggie Wagner, Director of Church Operations, for the presentation of the 2025 financial results for the report on the general reserves and the work of the Finance Review Committee. Thank you, Maggie.
Thank you, Lorianne. Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here. I'm very happy to see you, and for the next hour and a half, we are going to go through every single one of these numbers, of course, and I promise I have exciting stories for each of them. This is why Pastor Peter only lets me out once a year. Actually, I can keep this really brief, because 2025 has been a very, very solid, successful, and wonderful year for St. Andrew. You probably all remember the email that went out around December 26 from Pastor Peter, saying that we are still $300,000 short in our annual giving. And what happened over the next 4 days through the end of the year was really nothing short of a miracle. Over 200 of St. Andrew families stepped up and donated over $200,000 in that very, very short period of time. What a wonderful show of support, and thank you for your powerful generosity and your trust, and for making sure that we ended the year very, very strong. And I think this deserves a round of applause for all of you. Thank you. As you may recall, in the 2025 budget, we asked for an additional investment of $186,000. That was our targeted increase for our giving. We did increase our giving by a solid $94,000, so a really wonderful growth result. Fell a little bit short of our result, but because we had wonderful news of better than budgeted enrollment in our early learning program, and also our camp had a really strong season this year, and all year long we've really kept an eye on our resources and been really good stewards of all of our resources. So with all of that together, we ended the year very strong on a $68,000 surplus. We try to always budget to a balanced budget, which means a black zero for us. So for us to come in at $68,000 to the good is a wonderful, wonderful result, and helps us to replenish our general fund. So I'm very, very grateful for everyone to have contributed to this result. It takes really the entire congregation to get there. And I want to say thank you to especially all of my colleagues. What a wonderful, wonderful team of phenomenal leaders in all of our ministries. And not only have they done fantastic ministry this year in wonderfully growing programs, they have still in all of that kept an eye on their resources, and they've been wonderful stewards of their budgets, and I'm very, very grateful for the phenomenal collaboration of all of them. I'm also very, very grateful for Pastor Peter's leadership, who has shaped this wonderful collaborative team and who always encourages us to lean into this growth momentum that we're seeing at St. Andrew, where sometimes we really need to think completely out of the box for new situations that arise. And as Ms. Shauna said one Wednesday morning, the kids are coming out of our ears when we were running out of rooms for our small group confirmation. So wonderful problems to have, where we need to pivot and we need to think how we can continue to provide excellent ministry. So thank you, Peter, for your leadership to encourage us to live into this wonderful growth momentum. I would also like to extend a very, very large, big thank you to our standing committees who are helping all year long, but especially also in the budget season, to look at all of our business and all of our financials. There is the Staff Support Committee, there is the Finance Committee, and then there is the Financial Review Committee. And there is a dance and a cadence of how these committees meet and provide input and wisdom, and how all together we form what you find in this report and what reflects in our 2025 numbers and also will shine through in our 2026 budget. So thank you for all of those phenomenal volunteers who give very generously of their time and talent to make all of this very strong. And then lastly, I want to thank all of you, the congregation of St. Andrew, who make all of this happen with your generous volunteering and showing up at all occasions and your generous gifts. None of this would be possible without you. It's such a privilege and an honor to serve in this position for this phenomenal congregation. I'm really, really honored, and I'm excited for what's ahead and what we will do together in 2026. Thank you.
I don't know where we would be as a congregation without Maggie's leadership. And she runs a very tight ship, and it's always nice to know everything is above board. It's great. Thank you so much, Maggie. We will now proceed with our resolutions. Please refer to the proposed resolutions on page 2 of your annual report. Again, a reminder, if you wish to make a motion to approve the resolution or a second, please rise and announce your name so that it may be recorded for our minutes. Brian?
The proposed resolution, the first one, reads as follows. Be it resolved that the congregation adopt the treasurer's report for 2025.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved,
Brian Abramson is our first. I need a second. Chris Edom. Chris Edom, thank you for our second. There is a motion and a second to adopt the resolution approving the treasurer's report for 2025. If you wish to ask a question or make a comment on the resolution, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. Are there any questions or discussions on this resolution? Seeing no hand raised other than trying to protect your hands from the sun, we will now vote on this resolution. Those in favor of adopting the resolution, please raise your hand. Those opposed? The resolution is unanimously adopted. Thank you very much. We will now recognize Jim Schimmelfinnig of the Finance Committee for the presentation of the 2026 budget, found on page 17 of our annual report. Thank you, Jim.
First of all, as an old church administrator, I can tell the heat has been turned down here, which you should appreciate because that means we're saving some money. Secondly, those of you who know me know I need to start with a fun fact. So this is going to be educational and religious. As you know, as you read the Gospels, there's conversation about the Pharisees and the Sadducees. The Pharisees believed in resurrection, life after death. The Sadducees did not, so they're Sadducee. Wow. I thought that would go over better, sorry. Right, there we go. As we look ahead to the 2026 budget, I want to start by celebrating something really important. The investments we made last year in significantly increasing our budget are working. We saw strong, broad-based growth in 2025 in really every area of church life. Our overall attendance grew by 8%, with some months as high as 23%. All Saints Sunday alone was an increase of 30%. Confirmation grew by 35%, resulting in, as you heard earlier, Wednesday morning running out of rooms for small groups to meet. Vacation Church School participation increased by 20%. Sunday school grew by 33%. Wednesday night youth group now has 60 high schoolers attending, and we have increased Wednesday night meals served by 15%. But what's important is these aren't just numbers, these are stories. These are kids, families, adults finding community, faith, and belonging here at St. Andrew. These trends affirm something that we already believe. When we live into you matter, you belong, we care, people feel it, and they respond. And that's exactly what it looks like when we nurture the future of faith here. To sustain and build on the momentum of 2025, the 2026 budget relies on two primary funding sources. First of all, the annual fund giving, which we all know and we do every year. We're inviting the congregation this year to increase your giving by 5.5% over what we received in 2025. That's an increase of about $154,000. $120,000 of that increase is reflected in higher employment and benefit costs. A 4% cost of living adjustment for staff, rising health insurance premiums that I know you're all very aware of, and costs associated with Minnesota's new paid law leave. The remaining 34% reflects increased costs in technology, admin, communication, and utilities. And these are, of course, necessary investments we need to support the ministries and the people who make St. Andrew Lutheran Church what it is. The second source of funding this year will come from the anniversary appeal support. Pastor Peter mentioned briefly the feasibility study we did, where we talked with individuals and we did questionnaires online. We love boilers and windows, but we love new programming and new missions even more. So we've decided that $220,000 from that appeal will be applied to this year's budget. This will help us to hire an additional children, youth, and family position focused on elementary-aged kids. A new pastor, we hope, will be beginning later this year. Expanded staff in nursery, a Sunday school musician, and additional hours in support and hospitality. I'd like to point out these are strategic, targeted investments that will help us maintain excellence across ministries, respond to our real growth, and continue nurturing the future faith at St. Andrew. It's also important to note that early learning and camp will be fully absorbing their increased costs in staff and operating. Early learning's planning a moderate tuition increase and slightly higher preschool enrollment, supported by new programming happening later in 2026. And camp is planning modest growth in camper participation and exploring new opportunities during off-season retreat time. In closing, we want to thank you for your generosity. Thank you for your trust. Thank you for your shared commitment to St. Andrew's mission. We are truly excited about what lies ahead in 26 as we grow in faith, as we celebrate our anniversary, and as we serve our communities together. Imagine what we can do together. Thank you, and thanks be to God.
One of the many questions I get asked about the new budget, and I should say actually it's the only question I get asked about the new budget is, why are we adding another pastor? And I just want to remind everybody, you probably don't realize, Pastor Matthew, yes, is employed here, but the majority of his time is spent on Church Anew. So that's why we would like to add another program pastor, is because Pastor Matthew is very, very busy with Church Anew. So thank you, Jim, for that very thorough reading of our proposed budget. I will now ask Brian to read our second resolution.
Our second resolution reads as follows. Be it resolved that the congregation adopt the proposed budget for 2026 and that we dedicate ourselves to the sharing of our blessings in gratitude to God by fulfilling our 2026 pledges and inviting all to give faithfully.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution? Chris Hansel? I need a second. Cheryl Hargis? Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, Chris. There is now a motion and a second to adopt resolution number 2, approving the 2026 budget. Are there any questions or comments on this resolution? It appears there are no members waiting to be recognized for question or comment. So let's go forward and vote on resolution 2, the 2026 budget. Those in favor of adoption of the resolution, please raise your hand. Those opposed? The resolution is approved. Thank you very much, everyone. Wonderful work. Pastor Peter will now update us on the upcoming anniversary appeal.
Thank you, Lori Ann. As you've heard in our reporting here this morning, this afternoon, St. Andrew is really on the move. There's ministry that's happening at St. Andrew Lutheran Church that's making a difference in the lives of our families and in our communities. We are a congregation that is showing signs of growth and stretch in terms of space, in terms of staffing, in terms of ministry impact that is happening here, there, and everywhere. Every day of the year, ministry is happening at St. Andrew. And so we, as a congregation, have been prayerfully considering what it might look like for us to move forward with a 50th anniversary appeal to make known needs that will help not just celebrate 50 years of past ministry, but grow into the next 50 years of ministry. And as I've mentioned before in my report, the GSB consultants who helped us do our feasibility study were very helpful in our floating the idea of an anniversary appeal that would support our congregation's ministry. And the overwhelming results were that St. Andrew should should consider and conduct an anniversary appeal here in 2026. And so indeed, our council and leadership have seen where we are heading and where we are going. And I'm pleased also to share more widely here to our congregation's annual meeting that this is indeed the plan for 2026. So we're very excited about what is to come that will help shape and reshape the ministry here at St. Andrew. One of the things that is a determining factor in a bit of doing an anniversary appeal is when was the last time St. Andrew Lutheran Church asked for extra contributions for ministry? And it's been 8 years since the last time the congregation said we're going to build a new vision for where it is that St. Andrew needs to go for another season of life. And it is also true, as GSB in our feasibility report took a study of health and possibility about doing an anniversary appeal. One of the specific questions that was asked, in addition to, as I commented in my senior pastor's report, about enthusiasm for ministry here, but it's also the capacity that those who were sharing their reflections about St. Andrew, would they come alongside an anniversary appeal financially, and if so, by how much? And so we were told that between $2.3 and $2.7 million is what people who were interviewed or were part of the online survey would be willing to lean into based on our plan for what we tested to the congregation. So with that, with all those strong words of endorsement and participation, we are moving forward with a $5.5 million goal for our anniversary appeal here in 2026, with a stretch goal of up to $7.1 million. An amazing amount of resources and opportunities for ministry here at St. Andrew Lutheran Church. I'm going to break down very generally what it is that our projects are looking to do in that $5.5 million anniversary appeal. Think of it as 70% of those dollars would be allocated to ministry here at St. Andrew on this campus here at St. Andrew in Eden Prairie. So think about not just the capital expenses of boilers and windows and parking lot, areas that are more traditional capital, of course. But think about the growth of technology and the needs of technology that are supported in that 70%. Also, the investment in some congregational reserves as well that was recommended by our finance team and council to build in some assistance in our congregation's financial reserves. Also included in that 70%, as Jim mentioned in his report, is a desire for us to come alongside supporting the growth of St. Andrew. St. Andrew, as we've articulated, is growing, and so the anniversary appeal is a very strong way for us to lean in. Many members of the community who participated in the feasibility study, but we're growing now. How can we help our ministries now thrive even more? And so that $220,000 of an allocation that will decrease over 3 years, but throughout the anniversary appeal funding will help support St. Andrew's investment in people and program so that we're more resourced to be able to do the ministry that we want to be about. So that was an important addition. 20% then is a Spirit in the Pines investment in the camping ministry that happens up in Hackensack, Minnesota. There are cabins that are old that need replacing, a septic system, and a dining pavilion as well that is dreamed about having the ability to do outdoor dining and some shelter and so forth in times of storm and things as well. Those would be on the list of that 20% of the 5.5, about $1.1 million at Spirit in the Pines. And then there was really good, strong endorsement as well from the feasibility study about how St. Andrew in the anniversary appeal is going to be giving funds away outside of St. Andrew Lutheran Church to bolster ministry happening in the Twin Cities. We have partnerships and partners that have vision, for what it is that they would like to be about in the city. That includes Augustana Lutheran Church in South Minneapolis. It includes Zion Baptist Church in North Minneapolis as well. Our plan here is also to utilize Church Anew in this process. Church Anew comes alongside congregations with coaching and mentoring and strategic planning for congregations to develop and implement what it is that they are going to be about in next phases of ministry in those local contexts. And so as Church Anew is distributing grants to congregations around North America, through the ministry that is endorsed by the Lilly Endowment. Also, they will be working alongside then these congregations in Minneapolis to coach, to mentor, to plan, and to build these ministries out with the intent of St. Andrew Lutheran Church members participating in what it is that those organizations are looking to become. And so there is a benefit that's for the local communities that we are partnering with, as well as benefits for St. Andrew as we lean into ministries in the Twin Cities. And so that's a 70%, 20%, and 10% roughly of the anniversary appeal. It is, in my mind, for a while, I kept saying capital appeal. But I've rechanged my language. Friends, this is an anniversary appeal for ministry. This is a chance for St. Andrew to go bigger and wider for ministry. Yes, there's capital as a part of it, but there's a lot of things blended in here that will help us be faithful to serve, be engaged in the world, and continue to make a growing impact in our community. And so the anniversary appeal is that. I would like at this time to invite members, the co-chairs of our steering committee to raise their hands here. Gary and Andrea Spears and Steve and Sandy Perkins are there. Now, if you know them, I know, or know one or two or all of them as well, I want to personally thank the Spears and the Perkins for coming alongside the vision of the anniversary appeal, for our conversations here last month as we began the process of wondering and imagining and how what St. Andrew could become in this next phase, and how you're already coming alongside recruiting and helping to recruit members of the steering team and the teams that are going to be implementing the work. And so for the Spears and Perkins, thank you for your leadership and effort here. Yes, and let's give them an applause as well. So a bit of a timeline as well for us, but we are not going to move slowly. It is time. The new year has started. Our congregational meeting is happening now, and we are advancing forward. There will be a quiet or silent phase here to begin with as we finalize documentation and begin conversation with some families, with the intent of a public phase happening in March. Where we will come forward to you, members of the congregation, with early commitments that, by the way, have already been made, that are reported in our chart of accounts. About $150,000 have already been contributed to the anniversary appeal already. But we will come then to the congregation with a wider appeal then in the March and April time frame, with a commitment of pledges by the 3rd of May. So it is a wonderful, quick, and a campaign that will help all of us weigh in, step in, and be part of what St. Andrew is going to look like here for the beginning of its second 50 years of ministry. Stand by for some events that will happen as well. At least 3 events that will be happening where you'll be invited to share in that, as this will become part of what it is that St. Andrew is about here for the duration really of 2026 in the initial part of this campaign, and then implementation as we make our steps forward. So I'm terribly excited for what the future might look like here with this campaign, and I'm grateful for all the work that has gone on behind the scenes for many months to get the work prepared, and excited to roll out more details when they're all sewed up and packaged in a perfect way. Okay? So thank you for your support in advance. I look forward to what 2026 has